me, sir.
Welcome back to Stephen King Month. So last time we discussed the Misery, and it was a great horror masterpiece. People loved it for everything. The acting, the script, everything about this movie is perfect. But what if I were to tell you that one of the most famous horror movies of all time is still being discussed as to whether or not it's a good movie? Well, today's movie, The Shining, is definitely one of those movies. Now, I want to take this off the bat. I have not read the book to this movie. I have been planning on reading the book and its sequel, Dr. Sleep, for a while now, but I have not gotten to it. And if you want a book to movie review and how that translates, I'm not your biggest guy for that. There's probably other people that have made videos about it, but to me, The Shining is a perfect horror movie. However, what we will be doing is comparing it to the Stephen King miniseries from the 90s. So, if you don't want a comparison between those, but want a comparison between the book and the movie, find it somewhere else. So, without further ado, let's begin with the summary of the movie. The movie follows Jack Torrance and his family, and they are going to the Overlook Hotel. The reason why is that Jack has recently got a job offer to look over the hotel during the winter months, because that is when it's not operational, and they have to make sure it's in full working order. And this is where things hit the fan. Pretty much from the moment they set in, the movie becomes very, very creepy and moody. There's a lot of great dolly shots, a lot of great tracking shots in this movie, and there's a lot of shots that build up to tension for how maddening the character becomes. And this is where there is a bit of a differentiation between the movie and the miniseries. Now, to talk about the miniseries real quick. The miniseries is garbage. It's not scary, there's no tension that's built, there's really nothing too creepy about the miniseries itself. The one thing, though, that I can certainly say without a doubt is probably the best thing about the miniseries is the development for Jack Torrance, which is played by a completely different actor. He has a character arc in the film. There's an arc where he's trying to become a better father, but he's increasingly getting worse, and by the end he redeems himself by destroying the Overlook Hotel and himself at the end of the movie, which I hear is pretty much more close to the book, whereas the ending for The Shining ends with a bunch of ice and cold and, yeah. And while I do agree that the character progression in the miniseries is better than the movie pretty much outpaces the miniseries by a long shot. The atmosphere, the mood, the lighting, the tension that's built in the hotel itself is something that it cannot be matched by Stephen King in this movie. Stephen King has gone on record saying that the adaptation for The Shining that Stanley Kubrick did, he doesn't get why people love it. And I can understand that. There's certain movies that there's certain movies that I see that everyone else sees and they love but I don't get. And that's pretty much what everyone does, and that's what movies are supposed to be. They're supposed to be subjective as to who gets them. But The Shining is one of those movies that it gets more love every day. It really does. Just from simple framing techniques to basic build up to the tension to the actual spookiness of the actual hotel, it makes a lot of sense in this movie. However, the one flaw I have with it is Jack, played by Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson, basically, if you look at a picture of him at any point in history, he's built to look creepy. He has the same appeal as Willem Dafoe. Both look creepy, and you could put them in creepy parts, and they would fit those parts. However, the writing for the character in the movie, Jack Torrance's character, pretty much doesn't really have a character arc. He just almost quickly goes into madness, and there's not really an arc that he goes through, which I will agree with Stephen King on this one. However, everything else works. The tension, the mood, the actual scares, everything about this movie is scary. Would I call it Stephen King movie masterpiece level? Not exactly. If I were to rank it, it'd probably be number 6 on the scale or number 4 on the scale. I don't really know. I don't really rank Stephen King movies. But when it comes down to it, Stephen King is a little bit wrong on the movie, but I can understand his sentiments. So I'm going to give The Shining an A-. It's a good horror film that I think you should watch at least. If you are a film nerd or going into the film school, this is definitely one of the movies you should check out if you want to make a horror movie. There's a lot of cinematography techniques that is used in this film that have been used ever since. So if you want to learn more about making horror films, this is a kind of a good start to do so with. Thank you guys so much for watching my review of The Shining, and next time we're going to take a little ride in a car called Christine. See you guys in the next video. Peace.